I never thought I'd be sharing a story like this. The past week has been the worst of my life, and I need to get it off my chest. Here's everything that happened. 3 years ago, I met Kelly at a house party hosted by my friend Mike. I almost didn't go. I had a big work presentation the next day and wanted to stay in. But Mike convinced me, saying he had someone special he wanted me to meet. That someone turned out to be Kelly. She walked in wearing a Star Wars t-shirt, and right away, she was debating whether Han Solo shot first with everyone around her. She was smart, funny, and seemed genuinely interested in getting to know me. We exchanged numbers, started texting, went on a few casual dates, and soon made it official. Our relationship felt perfect. We had the same interests, sense of humor, and a tight circle of friends that blended together seamlessly. We'd double date with Mike and his wife Anna, and my cousin Rick and his fiancée often joined us. We'd have game nights with our friend Tom and his girlfriend, movie marathons with Chris and his girlfriend Elle, and tons of fun evenings with our combined friend group. I felt like I'd hit the jackpot with Kelly. A year ago, Kelly and I took things to the next level and moved in together. It felt natural, and I was even starting to look at engagement rings. We had a big Hawaii trip coming up, and I thought about proposing on the beach at sunset. Everyone in our friend group was either married or getting married, and it felt like we were headed there too. Then came Elle and Chris's wedding last weekend. They'd been together since college, and we were all thrilled about their big day. Kelly was Elle's maid of honor, so she'd been busy for months with wedding planning. She spent tons of time at their place, supposedly helping with last-minute preparations. But I'd soon find out that wasn't all she was up to. The wedding was held at a beautiful vineyard an hour outside the city. The ceremony was perfect. Elle looked stunning, Chris teared up during his vows, and Kelly gave a heartfelt speech about true love and friendship. Looking back, that speech makes me sick. During the reception, I was hanging out with Tom and a few friends when I noticed Kelly had been gone a while. The DJ had just announced that the first dance was about to start, and as maid of honor, Kelly was supposed to be there. I texted her, but got no response. After about 45 minutes, I got worried and started asking around, but the other bridesmaids didn't seem too concerned. Looking back, their faces told a different story, like they knew something but weren't saying. I decided to look around myself. The venue was huge, with several buildings, including a wine cellar where they were storing drinks. As I got closer to the cellar, I heard voices, including Kelly's distinct laugh. Then, I heard a man's voice. It was Chris. They were whispering, but in the quiet hallway, I could still hear them. Kelly giggled, "We should get back before anyone notices." And Chris replied, "One more kiss won't hurt. You look so hot in that bridesmaid dress." I felt like I was frozen. My heart dropped, and I could barely breathe. I wanted to burst in and confront them, but something stopped me, maybe shock, or the thought of not ruining Elle's wedding day. I walked away, feeling like I was in a nightmare. Kelly returned to the table 10 minutes later, acting like nothing had happened. Her lipstick was slightly smudged, but she quickly reapplied it. Chris came back, straightening his tie, and I watched in horror as he went over to Elle, kissed her, and led her onto the dance floor for their first dance. Kelly acted completely normal, laughing and dancing like she hadn't just shattered my world. We drove home in silence, and that night, I lay awake, staring at her as she slept, wondering how she could do this. The next morning, I confronted her. She tried to lie at first, saying she was helping with a wedding cake emergency. But when I told her I'd heard her in the cellar, her face went white. She finally admitted to kissing Chris and swore it was a one-time thing, a mistake caused by wedding emotions. She begged me not to tell Elle, claiming it would destroy her marriage before it even began. I couldn't look at her anymore and went to stay with my friend Tom. But when I told him what I'd seen, he acted strange, avoiding eye contact. After a few beers, he confessed that this wasn't the first time. Kelly had been hooking up with several guys in our friend group for over a year. It started with Mike, then Tom, Chris, and even my cousin Rick. They all knew about each other and even had jokes about it. Devastated, I moved into a hotel. I gathered evidence, including a recording from Tom where he spilled everything. Armed with proof, I confronted Kelly. She didn't try to lie this time, even showed me a group chat where they coordinated their hookups. My friends had been laughing behind my back for years. I sent everything to Elle, who confronted Chris. Their marriage is over, and she's staying with her sister. I also shared the evidence with our friend group chat, exposing everyone. Tom's girlfriend dumped him. Mike's wife threw him out. Rick's fiancé called off their engagement. And Kelly's been begging me to forgive her, even sending her mom to talk to me. I've blocked them all. Now, I'm moving to a new place across town. The only person I still talk to from that friend group is Elle. She suggested, half-jokingly, that we start a support group for people who've been cheated on. Looking back, I'm relieved to be free from all the lies. If you'd told me a few months ago that I'd lose my girlfriend and my entire friend group, I would have thought it'd be unbearable. I imagined heartbreak and loneliness so intense it'd take years to recover from. But here's the twist. Now that it's happened, I don't feel nearly as devastated as I thought I would. Those friends were never really there for me, and losing them feels more like shedding dead weight. As my friend Elle once told me, better to be alone than surrounded by snakes. Right now, I'm focusing on setting up my new place and building a life without any of these people in it. Thanks for all the support and advice, especially to those who recommended recording conversations and gathering proof. That advice helped me expose their lies in a way no one could deny. This story didn't end with a few breakups and hurt feelings. After I shared screenshots from their secret group chat showing how they'd betrayed me, things spiraled out of control. It turns out that other people in our social circle started passing those screenshots around. In no time, the scandal spread like wildfire. People I barely knew my story, and suddenly, Kelly and her crew were the talk of the town, becoming social pariahs. Mike's wife, Anna, works in PR, and she decided not to hold back. She took to Facebook, tagging everyone involved, laying out every detail of their betrayals, complete with screenshots. The post went viral in our social circles. Kelly's career took a nosedive almost immediately. She worked for a high-end real estate agency, selling family homes to couples. Apparently, clients didn't like working with someone who was breaking up families herself. Some clients complained directly to her boss, who was tagged in the viral posts, and he called her in. She was fired on the spot. Things didn't go any better for Chris, the guy she was seeing. He worked at a respected law firm, but once the partners' wives got wind of the scandal, they feared it would hurt the firm's reputation. He was put on indefinite leave, and now his chances of coming back are slim. Kelly's family got dragged into the fallout too. Her dad, who'd given her $50,000 for a down payment on our apartment, was furious when he found out what she'd done. He's suing her now, saying she tricked him into giving her that money under false pretenses. But the real kicker? The group of cheaters has now turned against each other. Tom, one of the guys, sent me a long apology message, begging me to tell his girlfriend he was the least involved and offering to tell me secrets about the others if I would just help him. I ignored him, but did forward his message to his girlfriend. Mike tried to save his marriage by claiming Kelly had seduced him, saying he was too scared to say no. Anna wasn't buying it. She'd found his burner phone and saw more evidence of him having affairs with other women. She laughed in his face and filed for divorce. Even my cousin Rick came to my new place, begging for forgiveness, saying Kelly seduced him and ruined his life. I reminded him that no one forced him to sleep with his cousin's girlfriend, then closed the door on him. Meanwhile, Elle's annulment from Chris went through quickly, and she's doing great. She's moving to Seattle soon, where her company has a main office and approved her transfer. We still meet up for coffee and laugh about how we both dodged bullets with these people. She's even started dating again, cautiously this time. And in a final twist, the real estate agency that fired Kelly hired Elle as her replacement after seeing how professionally she handled the situation. When Kelly found out through an industry newsletter, she had a meltdown at her sister's house, where she's staying. This is my last update because honestly, I'm ready to leave these people behind. Kelly finally moved out of our old apartment after I threatened legal action. She tried to claim partial ownership since she'd helped with bills, but her dad's lawsuit for the down payment complicated things for her. Now she's living with her sister in Ohio, trying to restart her real estate career. Anna's been doing well too. She's started a blog about surviving infidelity, and it's gaining a huge following. She's been brutally honest about everything, and her story names changed is the main feature. She even landed a book deal out of it. Mike tried to threaten her with legal action, but her lawyer advised him against it since everything she wrote was true and well documented. Meanwhile, Chris's career suffered even more. The law firm cut ties, and now he's working as a legal assistant in his dad's small firm, a major step down from his corporate position. When he tried to win Elle back with offers from his trust fund, she laughed and hung up. As for me, things are looking up. I got a promotion at work, probably because I'm not wasting my time on fake friends anymore. I started boxing to channel my anger, and I even adopted a German shepherd who's far better company than any of my old friends. Elle and I still meet occasionally. She's doing great in Seattle, but we're both content with just being friends. The irony? Even Kelly's mom, who once asked me to forgive her daughter, now comments on Anna's blog, criticizing herself for not teaching Kelly about respect and loyalty. I'm grateful to everyone who supported me. To anyone going through something similar, remember that it does get better. Cutting out toxic people isn't easy, but sometimes rock bottom is a foundation you can build on. I'm now focused on real friendships and building a life free from lies and betrayal. And honestly, that's the best revenge of all. As I sat with my friends at the wedding reception, something didn't feel right. Kelly, my girlfriend and maid of honor, had been gone for a while. The DJ was announcing the couple's first dance, and as part of the bridal party, Kelly had to be there. I shot her a text, but there was no response. Minutes passed, and my unease grew. 45 minutes went by without a sign of her, and I couldn't ignore the nagging worry any longer. I decided to ask around, but strangely, no one else seemed too bothered. Some of the bridesmaids looked a bit suspicious, as if they knew something, but they wouldn't say anything. I decided to search for Kelly myself. The venue was enormous, with several buildings and even a wine cellar where they stored extra drinks. I wandered through the corridors, and as I neared the cellar, I heard voices. Kelly's laugh was unmistakable, and then I heard a man's voice. Chris, the groom. They were speaking in low tones, but in the quiet of the hallway, I could make out their words. "We should get back before someone notices." Kelly was giggling. "One more kiss won't hurt," replied Chris. I could hear the grin in his voice as he added, "You look so hot in that bridesmaid dress." I froze. My whole body went numb. My mind was a whirlwind of disbelief and confusion, but I felt rooted to the spot, unable to barge in on them. The shock of it, or maybe not wanting to ruin my friend Elle's wedding, held me back. I felt like I was in a nightmare, walking away quietly, my thoughts swirling. About 10 minutes later, Kelly returned to the table, acting completely normal, with just a quick touch up to her lipstick. Chris soon followed, straightening his tie and patting down his hair, walking over to kiss his bride before leading her to the dance floor for their first dance. I felt sick watching him, disgusted that he could betray his new wife right here, on their wedding day. And Kelly, she acted like nothing happened, laughing, dancing, and snapping photos with Elle, all while carrying on as if nothing was wrong. The ride home was quiet. I didn't say anything, and she probably thought I was just tired from the long day. But that night, I lay awake, wondering how long this had been going on. Was Chris the only one? Or had there been others? The next morning, I couldn't keep it in any longer and confronted her. She tried to lie, saying she was helping the wedding planner with some cake issue. When I told her I'd heard her in the wine cellar with Chris, her face went pale. Then came the tears and excuses. She swore it was a one-time mistake, that it didn't mean anything, and she begged me not to tell Elle, saying it would ruin her friend's new marriage. I couldn't stay in our apartment after that. I went to stay at my friend Tom's place. But when I told Tom about catching Kelly with Chris, he acted strangely, avoiding eye contact and changing the topic. After several beers, he finally broke down and told me something that shattered me even more. Kelly had been sleeping with multiple guys in our friend group for over a year. First, it was Mike, then Tom himself, then Chris, and even my cousin Rick. They all knew about each other, shared inside jokes, and even planned nights specifically so Kelly could come over after I'd gone to bed. They watched me interact with her at parties, all the while knowing that she'd been with half of them. It was humiliating. I left Tom's place, in shock and feeling completely alone. I didn't know who to trust, but I knew I needed evidence. I met with Tom again, this time recording our conversation on my phone. He was drunk and spilled every detail. With this proof in hand, I confronted Kelly. She went through her usual routine, denial, tears, and then something worse. She started laughing. She admitted to sleeping with not just 4 but 6 different guys in our friend group, including Elle's cousin Pete and Anna's brother, Jake. To make matters worse, she even showed me their secret group chat, where they coordinated their hookups, shared jokes about me, and kept a point system for risky meetups. The wedding incident in the wine cellar had been worth double points since it was Chris's wedding day. I took screenshots of everything. I sent everything to Elle, the bride, including Tom's confession and all the screenshots. She called me in tears less than an hour later, telling me she'd confronted Chris, who admitted to everything. Their entire marriage had been a lie. Elle packed her things that night and filed for an annulment. It didn't stop there. I decided to share everything in our main friend group chat, where their partners could see the truth. Most of them left the chat and blocked me, but not before the damage was done. Anna kicked out her brother Jake and threw Mike out. Rick's fiancé called off their wedding and told his entire family why. Pete's wife left him, taking their kids. Tom's girlfriend posted his texts online, and the fallout kept spreading. Now, Kelly is furious. She alternates between apologizing and blaming me for ruining her life. Her mom even called, insisting that I forgive her, saying she's young and made mistakes, and suggested couples therapy. I blocked them both. I moved out, found a new place far from everyone, and changed my phone number. I still talk to Elle, who's been incredibly supportive. We meet for coffee, helping each other process everything. She joked that we could start a support group for everyone cheated on by someone in our circle. There'd be enough people for a small convention. The fallout continued as Anna's viral Facebook post made Kelly, Chris, and the others social pariahs. Kelly lost her jobs at a real estate firm, while Chris was put on indefinite leave at his law firm. The entire city knows about the scandal now, and their lives are in ruins. Now, I'm finally starting fresh, grateful to be rid of those toxic people. It's better to be alone than surrounded by people who never had my back. My ex, Kelly, really crossed the line, and now her dad is suing her to get his money back. Apparently, she tricked him into helping her. Meanwhile, the whole group of cheaters is starting to turn on each other, which has been darkly satisfying to watch. One of them, Tom, even messaged me apologizing and tried to bargain with me to tell his girlfriend he wasn't as involved. Instead, I sent his message to his girlfriend. She deserves to know the truth. Mike tried saving his marriage by blaming Kelly, saying she seduced him and threatened to lie if he said no. But his wife, Anna, just laughed and showed him even more evidence she'd found on a hidden phone of his other affairs. Then there's my cousin Rick, who came to my place, crying because his fiancée dumped him, and his family isn't speaking to him. He blamed Kelly for ruining his life. I reminded him that he made his own choices, especially at his own engagement party, and shut the door on him. Pete's wife has now filed for divorce, using this whole mess to argue for full custody of their kids. Jake, another one, had to move back with his parents after both his girlfriend and his sister Anna kicked him out. Thankfully, Lena, my ex, is doing well. Her annulment went through quickly, and she's starting fresh by moving to Seattle, where her company's main office is. We meet up weekly, and sometimes we laugh about how lucky we are to be rid of those people. She's even dating again, but taking it slow. Kelly tried posting a tearful apology video on Instagram, but it backfired when people noticed she was still wearing a necklace from Chris, one of the cheaters. A gift he'd told her was just friendship. The comments were so brutal that she turned them off and deleted her account. Ironically, the real estate agency that fired her ended up hiring Lena because they were impressed with how professionally she handled the whole scandal. Now, I'm moving on. I joined a rock climbing gym, and it's refreshing to meet people who don't know anything about this drama. Talking with new friends who aren't involved in all this has been a breath of fresh air. Things have settled down, and I'm finally in a much better place. Kelly finally moved out of our old apartment after I threatened legal action. Now, she's living with her sister in Ohio, trying to rebuild her career. Good luck explaining that gap on her resume with all those social media screenshots. Our old social circle has fallen apart. Mike's wife, Anna, started a blog about surviving infidelity, which has become popular, and even got a book deal. Chris, one of the worst cheaters, is now working as an assistant at his dad's company after his law firm let him go. And Tom's ex and Rick's ex-fiancée started a podcast called Red Flags We Ignored, sharing their experiences and stories about toxic relationships. They asked me to be a guest, but I declined. I'm ready to leave this drama behind. On my end, things are better than ever. I got promoted at work, joined boxing classes to channel my anger productively, and adopted a German Shepherd. He's better company than any of my old friends ever were. Kelly has tried reaching out a few times, claiming she's grown from this experience, but I mark her messages as spam. Lena and I still meet up occasionally, but we're just friends who understand each other's trust issues. Funny enough, Kelly's mom, who once begged me to forgive her daughter, is now on Anna's blog talking about where she went wrong raising her. Guess she's learning something too. This is my last update. Thank you to everyone who supported me. If you're going through something similar, remember that things get better, but only if you're willing to cut out the toxic people, no matter what it costs. Sometimes, hitting rock bottom gives you the foundation to rebuild. I'm doing just that, surrounded by people I trust, and it feels great.